welcome to the Holy Hour podcast, the bi-weekly All Cure podcast. I'm Gavin, and I have a very special episode for you guys tonight. I welcome Steve. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going? I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. This might be the quickest idea and turnaround here ever on the podcast, where we got rambling. If anybody heard the last episode where we did another round of Cure covers, Steve here has a whole batch that was featured on that last episode, and I think somewhere in that episode I got going, I really want to talk to this guy. I want to track him down, and I clearly don't have very good detective skills on the internet, because I looked around for a bit for you, and I was like, I don't know, he's a man of mystery. He's the elusive Steve.
I think that's more that I didn't have Facebook for a while. All of my social stuff was turned off, so
okay,
I think you probably looked hard enough. There was just nothing to find.
Okay, good. Make me feel better. Yeah, lay low there. It's like you didn't see 20 million social media outlets there, but so yeah, luckily got tipped off. Shout out to Eric, friend of the show, that I believe initially got your tunes to me months ago, and I was just kind of had on standby for that covers episode, and once again, he pulled through and posted some stuff. We were able to track you down. So welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thanks
here.
for having me. It's awesome for you guys to ask me to be on. I really appreciate it.
We're glad to have you here, and we want to totally dive into this Cure's cover album that you did quite a few years back, but is new to hopefully some people out there. And it's a good thing about a lot of old Cure stuff. It's pretty timeless and doesn't really matter when you stumble across it. You know, the songs are always great. So we want to dive in and get some specifics, because I know I had a lot of questions about your recordings and just how cool they sounded. I'm not usually even that big of a cover. I guess I love covers, but I'm real skeptical of Cure covers, being a fan of the Cure as I am. I just think they're hard to pull off, like I always like them, and like cool when people do them and stuff, but it's tough. So I'm curious to think, do you have a covers opinion off the top?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat with you. It's like the more I like the band, the more the less I'm inclined to like covers of that band.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough.
Just to, like I could probably heard Pictures of You, just as an example, 1,000 times, and it's perfect the way it is. I don't need to hear it any other way.
Right.
But like, if there's some random song from, I don't know, like Tears for Fears, who I have maybe heard 3 songs by. Right. Somebody covers one of their songs, I don't have the emotional connection to it quite the same way or something.
Yeah. Because, it can be totally great that way if you aren't so anchored to it, because then it turns you onto it and you end up digging their stuff more and you track it down. I mean, Lord knows how many bands I've discovered because of a cover, or a band would play it at a live show, and I'm like, what the hell was that song? That was great, and then you go down this whole rabbit hole and become their super fan, So, I mean, they definitely have their merits, too. Yeah, and then there's the pitfall of, like, something we found with doing these, and like something like In Between Days or something, it's like such a good song that it's like impossible to totally fuck it up, but at the same time it's like, it is, it's like it was already kind of perfect, so you can't really nail a cover of that, but at the same time you can never not enjoy it.
It's still fine.
It's still such a great song, you can't screw it up too bad. But so it is interesting with Cure covers in particular there. And then it is just like what approach they take or something like that becomes the more fascinating one. Do people try to totally deconstruct it or just note for note mimic it, So before we dive into your approaches, I just want to say I was totally impressed. So that's why I wanted to track you down. I really liked it and enjoyed it. It was like the first batch of Cure covers I've really just legitimately enjoyed for so long, where it's like, wow, I actually want to hear this again. Like, usually you just kind of listen to it and it's like, okay, that's cool, but I'm not regularly putting it on. But yours I've definitely put on loop a few times, I gotta say.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you.
No problem. But I guess a good way to start this off, though, since there might be some people joining this episode that didn't hear the last one and don't even know what we're talking about as far as these covers you did. we like to do origin stories here, so we figured on some level you must be a Cure fan, I'm assuming.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So even that
Fair
is always
assumption.
so it's like, damn, that was really impressive. He didn't even like the band, just blindly chose songs to cover. So I figured we'd kind of just kick it off with some general Cure origin stories with you. How far do you go back, and how'd you get into the Cure?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was trying to remember this yesterday. I think the first time I don't want to say the first time I heard The Cure, but the first time I listened to The Cure maybe was like sometime in between. It was probably like 90 or 91. I remember, so I would have been like 13, I guess.
Okay.
And I remember my friend Dustin, he gave me like a mixtape that I remember that it had. All I remember is that it had some stuff from Mixed Up.
Mm-hmm.
It had some stuff from the Unplugged, the MTV Unplugged.
Hey, cool.
And other stuff too, but I don't. I wish I still had the tape. But,
yeah.
But yeah, and it kind of, caught me right away, and I don't know. I just kind of started buying all the tapes anytime I could, at that time, and like. I feel like by the time Wish came out, was that like 92 or 93, something like
Yeah,
that?
92.
I had,
pretty much hooked by that point.
Yeah, like I knew every record.
Right on.
Like as many B-sides as I could get my hands on.
Yeah, it seems to be a very common thing with the Cure fans when they get into them. It's like a very quick like gathering from the back catalog, and that even is whatever era people have gotten into them. You're pretty similar, I think, to me. I was like right before Disintegration when I got into them, and but I was like 6th grade then, so
right.
So it was like getting those tapes, like you just go to the store and try to just get any tape that you didn't recognize the cover of, and and it was, but but it was like a year, I think, tops, probably, where I was caught up, and then like whatever that next album was, I was like already hooked, diehard fan. You don't hear too many stories of people being like, yeah, it still took a little warming up, and then they get a few more albums and a few more. It's usually all or
well, it's
nothing.
crazy to think too, like if you had a similar experience of like within about a year's time, you had, I don't know what, like 10 brand new Cure records new to you to listen to. But like these days, it's like when their last record was 12 years ago or something, and then the one before that was 6 years before that.
Yeah, it's easy to pine for those sweeter days when it was just like every trip to the mall was a new experience.
Exactly.
It's like, oh my god, it's been so awesome. But that's cool. Do you remember like what the initial appeal was? What, based on like the kind of stuff you were listening to before that? Was it a natural progression?
In some ways, yeah. I mean, like, I don't remember. I mean, I remember being into a lot of like Depeche Mode and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I still am, but like, I think the Cure. I mean, it's hard to really, to put a pin on it exactly, but like,
right.
I feel like part of what I liked about him so much. I mean, one, the music was good.
Yeah. And
it sounded different than, anything I had heard. And I think especially kind of being exposed to things like Mixed Up and Unplugged.
Yeah.
First, like it was this, I don't know, there was like a goofy side to it.
Right.
Like they're playing kazoo. Like what?
Right.
Like is this a toy piano? Yeah,
both of those are pretty extremes in either direction of what their sound is.
But they were also, like there's this goofy quality, but they were also really unique and kind of dark and moody. And for like 13, 14-year-old Steve, that checked every box.
Right. Totally. Yeah, I could see that because they run the risk of being overly dark, and like you said, as a 13-year-old, you don't really mind things being overly dramatic and stuff, but at the same time,
I mean, like if Dusty would have given me a copy of Pornography, or Faith, I don't know that. I'm sure I would have eventually kind of gravitated towards the Cure anyway. But but it would have been different, you know?
Yeah, we've talked about that too, because it was like, standing on the beach and stuff that really hooked us. And then by getting all those tapes all in one lump sum, like Faith and Pornography, I always liked them, but they were kind of the ones I listened to when I was just totally killing Head on the Door and stuff. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, that's getting really dark here. I'll put that on when I'm feeling sad, but it wasn't my like heavy rotation ones out of the
exactly.
or whatever, but it was like, and now those are, the ones you probably put on more regularly.
Yeah, I was going to say it's kind of opposite for me these days.
Yeah, maybe it's just as you get older and more cynical.
Everything is worse.
Yeah, it's like I just relate to pornography more now. So. Awesome. So yeah, you obviously play a lot of music too. When did that start, and was The Cure a big influence right off the bat for that? Or?
I feel like I've been kind of playing music always, Like I remember being a kid and my parents had an upright piano.
Okay.
I don't know why they had it, because neither of them played piano, but maybe it was like in the house when they bought it or something. I don't know. But yeah, I would always kind of be playing that. And no, I had started, I was definitely into playing music before I got into The Cure.
Okay.
Although I do remember, like, probably my first band, I think we tried to play, like, Never Enough or something. It seems like maybe Love Song. It was all bad. It was all terrible. But...
Yeah, we have just me and Donald, the guy we do the show here with. He plays drums, and we would just do these horrible garage covers where I didn't even know any of the notes, but I would just like, sing it, hit something similar. He'd play the beat. It was like we tried really hard. But,
I mean,
compensate with passion. Yeah,
exactly.
So you started out with piano then, or?
I mean, not like I never really. Just kind of, like it was around.
Yeah.
But then I think I probably learned how to read music and stuff by playing a saxophone in the middle school band and high school band and stuff. But then started playing guitar and bass. And like I've always kind of been somebody, like I'm not really that good at any of them, but I'm kind of a little bit good at, if I spend enough time with an instrument, I can fake it well enough to make it work.
Awesome. comes in handy with recording for sure.
It does, for sure.
You could even bust that sax out then, man. You should put it
I wish I still had one. Like every few weeks I'll get on Craigslist and kind of, is anybody selling a saxophone for $20 or something?
Well, if you do another round of Cure covers, you got to do like A Night Like This or something where you can
give stuff from the like kiss me, kiss me, kiss me. It seems like it's a lot of
little Hey You or something.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Somebody just posted something today where I said, why is it when somebody plays a solo on guitar or piano, like they wait till the end at a live show and then they all cheer after the really awesome solo, but like when they do a sax now, like 2 notes in, everyone just loses their shit and like starts cheering. It's become such like a, I don't know, I don't want to say it's like goofy cheering, but at the same time it is badass, but just you don't see it anymore. When you saw it so much, like in the 80s and stuff, it was like ridiculous if you didn't have a sax in it, and
it's kind of funny. I had forgotten that I played in like a punk ska band for a little bit.
Oh
yeah. Which I mean, in retrospect, I was gonna say I don't know why I did, because I was never into that music, but all the people in the band were really good friends of mine. So, and I was like, hey, Steve plays sax.
He's a sax guy,
now he's in this band.
It's like, all right. That's funny. Yeah, I saw Psychedelic Furs. It was quite a while back now, but they had like the original sax guy in the band still, or I don't know if he came back for that tour or what, but it was like all the solos were like sax solos, and it was just so wild not having seen that for so long now. It was like, whoa, and everybody did just like totally go ape shit for him every time he was just like doing anything, and they would just step up and be like Pretty awesome.
Yeah, see, now I'm thinking maybe I should,
Yeah,
instead of looking for saxes for $20, maybe I should 50, 60. Might be worth it.
Making a comeback, yeah. So. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I guess shifting gears, or to your own music too. Then, so yeah, forming bands pretty early on and stuff was. And you'd sent me just some links of your stuff that I was really digging, some of your originals too, and the 3 bands you had sent me. I don't know if there was a lot more in between the gaps or what, but
there are some, but those were the kind of main ones,
Yeah.
And there's like, I don't even know how many hours of like stuff that I would kind of write and finish just myself.
Right.
But most of it wasn't ever really close enough to being finished for me to release it. And a lot of it's like pretty terrible, I think. So.
Well, those 3 you sent me were awesome. I was like totally happy just to have like 3 rad bands to check out too. So they're really good. And your most current project in particular sounded really good. Disaster Class.
Yeah.
Are you currently in that band? Or?
Yeah, we've kind of been, everything has been slow for the last year.
As much as anybody's in a band, I guess.
Yeah. We're not a super, productive band necessarily anyway. We kind of, we're all just kind of, old and like, we'll just do it when we want to do it. It's no big deal, everybody's got families, it's like we're not trying to, like the singer's not going to tell his wife, like, sorry, wife, and 2 very young children, we're going to be gone for 6 months.
Right.
It's just that's not in the cards.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat. Just like you get like 2 shows that are close together, I'm happy, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have some songs we're working on for a while, but this is
we've been trying to finish a record for, I don't know, over 2 years, I think, and not that we've been like toiling away, like we got to get this perfect for 2 years. It's just that we take our time with it and work on it when we want to. And there's been plenty of nights that we would get together for practice or recording, and then we just end up sitting outside drinking bourbon or something.
Yeah, sometimes it's nicer just to hang out with your bandmates and actually just talk about music and
just hang out.
We've only played 2 songs the whole time.
Yeah.
Definitely know that feeling too. Are they, I guess, keeping with the Cure thread, are they, fans of any level, or is it one of those?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, we actually, they are for sure. And we actually, I'd kind of forgotten about this. It was maybe 7 years ago. We did a Halloween Cure cover show.
Oh, cool.
And it was all the guys that are in this current band, Disaster Class, and then Scott, who is the singer and piano player from this band State Song that I was in for a while.
Okay.
That was more us just trying to be fairly true to the original songs, typical Halloween cover show.
Those are always
fun.
But
it was super fun, and I wish, I don't have any footage of it or anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because it was a lot of fun.
Cool. How many in the band then?
In Disaster Class, it's like 3 or sometimes 4.
Okay.
We added our friend Nick on bass kind of right before COVID.
Right.
And so we haven't, it was kind of like, let's see how this works.
Right.
Because before I would play all the bass stuff on one synth and then other synth stuff on another synth.
Okay.
So having him actually play bass kind of, freed us up to do some different stuff.
Cool.
But we haven't really I think we've practiced once since
yeah.
March.
It's
So
like, we'll let you know. And he's like, what?
yeah.
It's like the longest wait for a call back.
Right.
It's like, I think it went well. Cool. So yeah, I guess you got the Cure influence, and then taking your time with the new album, and
Yeah.
that's always good. Cool.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't take us that long.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I remember when me and a couple friends went to Los Angeles. Was it last summer when
Mm-hmm.
the Cure played that Pasadena Daydream?
Yeah.
And I remember, which was great. It was such a cool show. But I remember like reading an interview. I think it was right after that show where they're like, yeah, like definitely we'll have one new album out by the end of the year,
Yeah.
maybe even two. Okay.
Yeah, it's becoming a either comical or sore spot with everybody on the
Yeah.
podcast. It's like, yeah, like over a year ago, we were like, any day now, it's just gonna
Yeah,
drop, and
right. Yeah.
it's a Christmas miracle in 2019. It's like, nope. But oh well, we'll see what happens. So yeah, I was gonna ask too. I guess just on the Cure fandom factor, you pretty still on board then? I guess if you saw them at Pasadena, and
Oh yeah,
there's a
man.
lot
Like the Cure, they're one of those bands that like, like their last, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5, I don't even know,
yeah,
are not like my favorite records of theirs by any stretch, but
yeah,
they're a band that's like I'll always give them a chance, like,
right on.
and they could never put out a record that was so bad that it would change how much I enjoy everything else they put out.
Right, yeah, it's not embarrassing or anything, or just
yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, they're so good live too. I mean, it's amazing.
They really are, man.
How they just hold up. It's one of those things that blows all our minds. With it, just especially his voice and everything. Just like, if anything, they're like better. You listened back to some of those ones. It could be like maybe a little looser and wilder, like the younger days, but at the same time, it's like they're tight as hell, and everything's just like perfect. Or it's like,
well, I was it was a few weeks ago. I was watching that was it Play Out? It's like a VHS. It was maybe like a pay-per-view thing at one point too, I think. And I had forgot, like, because I remember me and my friend Dusty that I talked about before. I remember we ordered that on pay-per-view when it came out.
Yeah, me too.
But I still like one of the few things that stuck with me from that was some point where Robert he's like, I don't know, somebody's interviewing him about, it's maybe when they're doing that, whatever that small club show is.
Yeah.
And asking him, kind of why they're doing this. And he's like, like we were playing this arena show next week or something. If we didn't do these, it would have been like a year since we played together last.
Yeah.
And it's like, man,
wow.
Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like if my band tried to play a show tomorrow, we played last March was our last show. Yeah. Like the day before everything closed down. It would be an absolute disaster. Like, I mean, I wouldn't remember any of the songs.
Yeah, me too.
So I remember that having a big impression on me.
Yeah.
Then, like, man, they can go a year.
Yeah.
And like still sound amazing.
And even on some level of like the technology versus, like it would be a lot more possible nowadays, even just with all the billion things you could play along with or whatever, or you could even call each other up. But like back then it was just like, what are you putting your tape on and playing along with it? Or it's like, what the hell? How would you even rehearse or anything? But it's pretty impressive. Those guys are made of something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first time I saw them had to have been the Wish tour.
Okay.
And I think I saw them a couple, maybe 3 times.
Cool.
And like, it's hard for me to remember how good they were just because it was overwhelming and amazing,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you see them now, it's like, yeah, they're like old guys and they all look like they're melting, but
yeah.
they play better than they've ever played.
Yeah, that's it. I think the only real argument might be that they're just too good, really, or it's just so like everything's like just fuck up once or something, you know? It's like, it's like nice when he gets kind of off script with his vocals and starts, you know, kind of slurred it or whatever, you know. It just proves that they're human, if anything. You know? It's like, okay, cool. But I'll put a link to this episode on there too of your other projects and stuff if that's cool with you. I'd love for people to hear them too. And like you said, State Song has a really good album, and Humans Bow Down. You said that was you're writing the songs and fronting man for that one.
Yeah, that was like that whole record was basically just me and the drummer, my friend Chris.
Okay.
And then we kind of put a band together to play the stuff, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the last project I did where it was like, this is my band and we're kind of playing my song, you know, which was super fun. But I think I prefer the stuff that I do now where I'm more kind of like more collaborative and, you know, it's less pressure on me to write lyrics that I'm not going to like and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know the feeling for sure. I definitely at heart more laying I like writing songs and stuff, so it's easier, and I just kind of always done that, you know, where I do home recordings and do a band. But then like when we moved to Asheville, my buddy had a band he was starting up, and I kind of joined them as and he's such a good guitar player, so I kind of joined as like the extra guitar / keyboardist kind of dude, you know, and it was like just so nice to not be the one that has to like, you know, talk in between the songs and shit, you know, and like this is everything kind of just fell on him. I was just like, I don't know if they hated it. I was like, I'm just doing my part, you know, and it was so nice to just be along for the ride. And that band ended up having, you know, we played the most and, you know, had the most success of anything I'd played in. So it was kind of cool to see it from that level and bring in that Cure element, because they were, you know, he's kind of like greatest hits level Cure fan, but never really got super into him. So and the rhythm section definitely weren't into the Cure. So it was like, I was always kind of infiltrating, trying to sneak in like a to every song, you know, they're trying to play like these Pixies type songs. And I'm just like totally trying to throw that Cure element in. But do you feel like you do that, or since you said they're all pretty on board with
I don't really have to.
Yeah, that's good.
It's kind of there. I mean, I mean, that's with all of those bands, it's all been pretty like, you know, more or less everybody's into the same kind of music, and, you know, like, you know, with little exceptions here and there, but it's, I mean, like I could start playing some random Cure song at practice, and Jacob the drummer would be like, "Oh, isn't that the B-side from, you know, like?"
Oh wow, that'd be nice.
He's also one of those like, he's one of those guys that knows everything about every record ever released by any band, you know.
So, hearing the whole backstory of the album, it's like, I just want to play the cover, man. Awesome. Love those guys.
yeah, for sure.
Cool. Cool. Well, if you don't mind, shift gears. We'll start talking about this covers album you did quite a few years back now. I guess since you've posted them on a Bandcamp site that we'll also link to, and wrote a few little notes there on the production. I was going to ask you when. You said about 2011, 2012 is when you...
It was like 2010 or 11.
Okay.
I think that I kind of started working on them maybe like fall or winter of 2010.
Bled into 2012.
That's if I remember right. Something like that.
It's a while back now. Yeah,
yes, definitely.
That's right around my kid was born in December 2012. So everything's a blur after that now. So. But it's called Steve Wethington. Am I pronouncing it right? Wethington?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Steve Wethington plays the songs of the Cure. And first off, cool album cover too.
That was actually it was drawn by my friend Dusty.
Cool.
Who gave me the Cure mixtape, back in the day.
Oh, awesome!
He's a great artist. You actually just to plug him real quick. He has a Instagram and some other stuff. Maybe he's the Block Watch Captain.
Okay.
And he does awesome stuff. He's recently he and his family opened up a little store that's all vintage toys and weirdo bootleg toys. It's such a cool place.
That sounds rad. And they have an online thing you can.
Their store is called Earth to Kentucky.
Okay.
Dusty's he's a big Cure fan too.
Awesome.
So when I did those covers, okay, Dusty has to draw the
cover for it. That's awesome. Got him to work in on it. Yeah, and I was surprised too in the notes you had put on the Bandcamp site there that it sounded like you said you recorded it just in a house, maybe like a nice sized house with some big windows.
No, it was just in my old apartment.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was I guess it was a bigger apartment, but it was just a 1-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all other than the vocals, everything, and the guitar, but I just recorded the guitar kind of direct through effects and stuff, but
really
the only microphones I used were on the vocals. Everything else is just stuff I programmed.
Oh wow, that's
so
great.
It's easy enough to do in an apartment.
The production was really cool, just from the start. I don't know why, it just totally blew me away too, where I was kind of going back and forth with each listen. I was like, it sounds home recorded in a sense, but at the same time it has enough you definitely got your production chops in there. It's it's awesome. I was like, but it doesn't seem like the kind of thing anyone would fork out bucks to go to a big studio to do a Cure cover kind of thing, It's so I was like, he must just have some good trickeries with it and stuff. I thought for sure you were totally doing the awesome mics at the perfect distance and everything, I was tricked, man. So it worked good.
It was all that was all all the drums are me playing on a MIDI keyboard.
Okay. I was gonna ask you about those too, because the drums in particular does have a lot of cool takes on the rhythms and stuff. Yeah. So it's all just keyed drums then, or were you playing over some loops and stuff, or was there any?
No, it's just all. It's just I would turn on a click and then
just gonna
start playing drums on a keyboard.
Awesome. Yeah, because
some of the songs have layers of multiple different kinds of drums and percussion and stuff.
I think that was throwing me, especially some of those earlier ones, for Three Imaginary Boys and stuff like that. It almost sounded like there could be you were playing over some kind of loop or something too. But it was cool because it ended up making some of the ones I thought that were more of the straight up lull beats sound a little more like a Boris beat even or something, where you were throwing in some kind of tom roll kind of things over what was A Strange Day, I think it was one I had noted, where it had a cooler variation, but almost to the point where I'm I don't think that's the actual beat of the other one. So it was more, but it sounded very Cure-esque still, so it was impressive.
I think Strange Day, there were a couple of them, but this is one I remember specifically. The first kind of version that when I started working on that, it was kind of just exactly like A Strange Day, it wasn't really any different, which, was kind of pointless to do And I think if I remember right, I kind of just started chopping up the MIDI of the drums that I had played in.
Yeah.
And then just moving that around. So I think if it sounds like it's like got that same kind of feel in a way, it's probably because it was, and then I just started, like chopping it up and moving it around until it sounded different. Then kind of started building things from, on top of that.
Yeah, because it makes it sound less robotic and stuff like that too. I definitely have that problem a lot with my home recordings where I just use a drum machine, but a lot of times I'll be lazy and just stick to the one beat that I just, it doesn't change anyway. If you're doing like a New Order kind of song or something, it's fine, but at the same time, it does kind of lose a little of the, it's like, I always love that idea of like having something that makes it feel a little more human in there too. So very cool. Yeah. I guess, just the song selection in general was cool just to see, like, I always feel like you could tell more who's like a real Cure fan or something more, like, because it's not, I mean, plenty of like greatest hits should be covered or whatever, they're great, but you could kind of tell when people are just grabbing, Love Song or Friday I'm in Love, good God, if I hear another cover of either of those two in particular. But
I mean, like, I just kind of, I think I had told you in an email or something that like when I did that, I was really just like, it wasn't particularly meant for anybody else to hear. Like I sent it to some friends as I would finish songs, but it was just for fun and kind of like experimenting with like on what is it, A Few Hours After This. Like that song is awesome. And I remember as I was going through, I wanted to do a song from each record up through Disintegration, and when I got to Head on the Door, it's like, I don't know, like I could do Sinking, but that song is, I don't want to change that, right. And so I kind of just started listening through that record and B-sides, and that one, like I remember hearing it and kind of remembering that something I always wanted to try was recording a song, but rather than having a drummer, having a drum line, it's like, well, I'll just, like, this song has kind of this like goofy orchestral quality to it anyway, so I'll just turn it into like a drum line, and so it was like, in some cases it was like, I love this song, I definitely want to cover it, and in other cases it was like, I want to try this programming thing or this this instrument or something, and here's a song that lends itself to that. Before I go, is enough for you. Only have to look at it or walk on true. Looking far inside into the fizzy night. Moving down here, now it's all the same. Only want to see if you're happy again. We can roll around.
It's cool, and that was one that definitely perked my ears up a bit too, because like, especially
a weird one.
That's the one I think that would get the most like, for a second, like, because something we always talk about with the Cure covers too is like, you want to change it enough where it is different, but at the same time, keep it the song,
it's gotta be recognizable.
But at the same time, because all of them, you change just enough cool stuff, but they do stick to the song and the melodies and everything. But that one's the only one that were changed it up. But at the same time, the fact that it was that song is like, well, obviously he knows his shit and he likes the song. Nobody just like blindly choose A Few Hours After This to deconstruct it. It wasn't like you got assigned that song on the tribute or whatever.
Exactly,
just like, So in that regards, I was like, this is fucking cool, But there's definitely a lot of, like I said, there's like a whistle or something going at one point. Even I was just like, whoa, what is this?
The whistle comes in right after the like super fast hand claps.
It's definitely cool.
But I mean, like that's one in particular that I actually thought of before I put them on Bandcamp. I thought about sort of like fixing the mixes a little bit, like things that I didn't, 10 or 11 years later, I'm like, I could have done that.
Get old George Lucas on it there, you can tell.
Right. but then it was kind of like, they're fine.
It's cool. Yeah, if
And it would
anything
be
at that part, it's good too. Just to like see, like it's like you still paying attention. Check it out. It's like one of those things just to grab the listener for sure.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's just a cool batch of songs. I guess just for the people out there, the full track listing is Three Imaginary Boys, At Night, Other Voices, Strange Day, Lament, Banana Fishbone, A Few Hours After This, Like Cockatoos, and Closed Down. And it was cool, like you said, you chose one from each one, which is what the Cure ended up doing on that curation live thing. Did you capture
Oh,
it?
yeah,
Happen
yeah.
to catch that? Yeah, it was like their whole like concept where they did one
That's
song
right.
from
Yeah, I
each
forgot
one.
about that.
And then the even weirder part, I didn't even realize till I was jotting that down for this, is that like most of them are all the same ones they chose too for that first set
You
of
know,
the curation. It's like the exact same songs that they chose. Even I was like,
that
damn,
sounds. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out because that actually does sound familiar to me. Now that you say
yeah, that's cool.
that.
So I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
damn,
awesome.
they followed your
Well, I
lead there.
know.
So
Well, like I'll like dream a little and imagine. Like my friend Sammy,
uh-huh.
his sister apparently knows somebody in the Cure or knew somebody who was in the Cure,
Uh-huh.
and he sent her a copy of those songs like back when I did them,
Oh wow.
and he said that she sent the CD to them. So
Nice.
maybe they listened to it and they're like, man, yeah, let's play this guy's set.
Yeah, so this is a great
He
set.
figured it out for us.
So, yeah, I was also wondering too if it stopped at Disintegration for a reason, or if you figured that was just a good stopping point.
Yeah, I think originally I was going to try to go through maybe Wild Mood Swings,
Yeah,
or at least Wish. I know the
yeah,
original idea was at least Wish, but I think like that era, especially Disintegration and Wish,
yeah,
like I know those songs, so well. And it's even like Close Down is probably the one that's the closest. Like my
yeah,
interpretation is not really that different than, how it is on Disintegration.
yeah.
And I think, once I kind of started listening to stuff for Wish, it's just like, no, I don't really need to. It's fine. This is enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You start getting too attached at that point too.
Yeah, and it's like, I think, and also, like some of the earlier songs, definitely not all of them, but some of them, the arrangements in the original versions are simple enough, and the song structure is simple enough to where it makes it a little easier to
Yeah,
use as a template to kind of do my own shit on,
yeah, yeah.
But then if I'm gonna try to cover like, From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea or something, like how am I gonna,
Yeah, those later ones
like
have so much shit that every little bit
yeah,
of sound has already been covered. That was something I was
yeah,
gonna say
right,
that I really liked about like Strange Day in particular. Is like you put in a lot of the sounds that feel like they're there but aren't actually. It's almost like what they do live now. Where there's all more like swirling and keys and stuff
yeah,
like that going. But like those old ones, I'm sure they're in there, but especially on the actual recording, it doesn't really. It's pretty stripped down. Those earlier
right,
ones are pretty
yep.
sparse, so it's pretty cool that it fits that well. And that one in particular, I really loved what you did with the
Oh,
keyboards
thanks.
and the Wurlitzer kind of sounds and stuff like that are
Hmm.
just really cool and just keeps like a super chill vibe to that one. Was probably my favorite, I think.
Oh, cool.
But
That's awesome.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot of like reverby, flangey
yeah.
synth parts that are just pushed way in the back in that, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's cool because it's like you said, it's. I think those earlier ones do have the room for it, where you can kind of take
yeah,
the idea that is subconsciously there at this point, but isn't actually.
yeah,
So
right.
cool, and a lot of the guitar tones too, I thought were really rad. So a lot of those were you were going direct in and just using like
Yeah,
computer.
yeah, it was probably what Native Instruments guitar rig. I'm guessing is probably what I was using.
Okay,
Um, I think that's probably what it was. But yeah, it was
nice.
all. I didn't like mic up any amps or anything like
Yeah, I
that.
was like wondering if you're busting out the vintage '67
No,
twin.
no.
Awesome. That's even
I don't even
better.
like doing that. I don't even like doing that for like actual recordings.
Yeah,
like if I can just plug it into my computer and it sounds fine, then
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always feel like I should try that and do that more, but then it's like maybe that's why I subconsciously love this so much, is because anytime you can like trick the ear of the listener or something, it's like, fuck yeah, do it. All right. It's one less thing I gotta mess around with, figure out the weird rattle that's coming out of the amp that I'm trying to mic or something,
Yeah, I mean, and it would be one thing, like, if in my apartment at the time I could have a drum set, a drum kit set up with mics and an amp that was mic'd up and ready to go, where it was just as easy to flip on the amp and play something as it would be just to open a plug-in. I might have approached it differently then, but I did not have that kind of setup in my apartment, and I still don't. So
fair enough. That's good if you could pull it off. Were these ones that you had to kind of sit down and figure out the parts, or were they kind of stuff you've had in your repertoire for a while and didn't really?
No, I figured it all out just for the recording.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and most of them I probably, particularly like stuff where I would change a part, add a second guitar part or something. Like I probably wrote it as I was recording it and then never played it again. It was all kind of
on the fly there.
Yeah.
No, I just sincerely think it's a great job. People should check it out and download it too.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no problem.
I really do. I mean, like I said, it's weird to me now because, like 10 people, 15 people maybe had heard that. And I always mostly liked it. I mean, there's some stuff that I hear it now and it's like, oh God. That's not so good, but whatever.
Yeah, there's always going to be that, right? Anything you record, I think. Do you do a lot of production work then for like your bands and stuff? Are you kind of the guy that
I do,
handles all that? Cool.
Yeah, that's kind of like my, that's one of my jobs.
Okay.
I record a lot of bands. It's not so many this year just because studios closed and stuff like that, but.
Do you do it out of your home normally, or do you go to
I do. Like there's a studio close by called Candyland.
Okay.
Where I'll do a lot of tracking there, and then like a lot of the initial recording, and then sometimes I'll have people come into my band's practice space and we'll record vocals there or overdub guitars there.
Yeah.
And then I pretty much do all the mixing from home. But yeah, I don't really do too much actual recording here in my apartment. I have before, but it's not very much.
Right on.
My cats aren't cooperative with
a lot of howling
microphones.
Yeah. So it goes.
I saw some on some like recording, website the other day. They were talking about, or maybe it was right around Christmas. They were talking about like how much in 1980 would it have cost to build like a very bare bones kind of home studio compared to what it would take now, and like to get something comparable.
Yeah.
And like in 1980, it would have been like $15,000 in $1980.
Yeah.
To be able to record 8 tracks, and and now you could have like for $1,200, you basically could do literally anything. It's pretty amazing.
It is. It's nuts. Almost too much freedom. Yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say too. Like, it's kind of like there's just so many. You can do so many things, and like, I know when I'm mixing a band, I'll like, okay, I need to put an EQ on this kick drum, and I open the EQ folder, and there's like 50 things that show up.
Right.
And it's like, like I need to simplify this. Like I don't need, there's never a time where like, I'm going to be trying to choose, like, do I need EQ number 3, number 17, number like 39 or number, like just
you got your 4 that you use. It's can definitely be overwhelming, especially if you don't know it as well too. Like that's where I get into I'm like moving the little waves up and down. I'm like, I don't know, I'm just like totally trusting my ear and all of it. Just by the end of like then you get it mixed and it sounds different on every speaker now. It's completely
Right.
different. I'm just like, ah, God. Yeah. So it was always a dream of mine to work in a studio and stuff. I don't think I could ever do it mentally.
Yeah, like it's easy. It's different for me now. Like when I got out of high school, I moved to New York
Mm-hmm.
and went to a school for audio engineering,
Cool.
and then like interned at a pretty small studio for, I don't know, it was a year and a half, I want to say. And like I remember at the time, because I was like, what, 19 or 20
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing that. And like, I remember at the time thinking, like, man, I want to be in, Electric Ladyland or like one of these big studios that,
Yeah.
wherever Prince is coming to, like, I want to go there, like,
Right.
and, but in retrospect, I think like working at that little studio was great because, we would finish with a session and then they would be like, all right, like you can stay here and play with stuff.
Yeah.
Just, lock everything up when you're done. And so I would, that's how I learned Pro Tools, which is the software I use to record.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, I think like having that kind of opportunity to work in a small place where people were very chill. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
there weren't $50,000 pieces of rack gear that,
Right.
that they were going to like, yeah, sure, play around, just lock up when you're done. Like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Totally.
But yes, I think that kind of helped push me in the direction of,
Yeah.
being able to, I don't know, just learning that stuff.
Production, yeah. I guess Cure related then with some production side. I love the way so many of those, especially the early classic albums and everything, are mixed and
Yeah.
and recorded. It's just like mind blowing that they can do so much with that and cohesive sound. And yeah, do you have a favorite then, or as far as I guess Robert's always kind of, you never really know if he's doing everything or co-doing everything or if,
in terms of like favorite and in terms of the way it sounds.
Yeah, I guess just like production wise, as far as cohesive sound and themes. And
I mean, probably. Oh god, it's tough. Probably Disintegration.
Yeah,
honestly. Such a unique, characteristic sound.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like the Cure sounds on all their other records, but just like a little more focused, sonically.
Yeah.
And like more focused, but also more spacious. Like it's the amount of reverb on the drums is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, the drums in particular are crazy. I read something fairly recently. Did you happen to catch that thing where they said that Dave Allen, who worked through all those, he basically like sampled the kick drum, I guess, and then he used the same kick drum. He cut it and pasted it into every hit on every song. It was the same one hit like through the whole thing, which sounds, I think it was like in that Roger thing where he really did like a detailed, recollection of the whole process. And so it was like it was a legit source, but it was like, well, he was even like, I don't know why he went that crazy with it, but at the same time, I'm kind of wondering that maybe that's why it's so cohesive too, because it's this little kind of subconscious. It's literally the same bass drum hit on every hit. It's just like, whoa, that's crazy, but pretty impressive if that's.
Yeah, that's. I'll have to look that up. No, I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, especially.
But I mean, like. What was that drummer that was Boris Williams? Is that
yeah.
He always, man, I like that guy. He's like my favorite Cure drummer.
Yeah,
no question.
He's amazing.
It seemed like, especially like if you listen to some of, you'll hear some of Robert's demos.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's programmed this drum machine, and then you hear the record, and it's like, oh, that's Boris Williams playing that weird drum machine part.
Right.
And like, yeah. So I mean, I guess it kind of. If the guy's, the producer, whoever, the mixer is editing the drums so that like, the kick drum is always this
sound,
maybe adds to a little bit more of that drum machine-y kind of quality of those parts.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Though.
Maybe it's like
I
a
didn't know that.
trigger thing where you could probably do it where
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
programmed in, so when he's playing, it's just making that sound. I'm
It's
assuming, so
just
maybe he's not like
yeah.
cutting the tape necessarily for every whatever
That's
it
true.
was.
Yeah, because that would have been on
So
tape. Yeah, it
yeah,
would have taken forever.
yeah, that seems totally crazy, but yeah, it's probably some kind of sample trigger thing
Probably
on
so.
his, I
Yeah.
would assume, but who knows? Either way, that's pretty cool. I always thought. Man, I guess just winding down then. Any let's see. Do you have any like I guess like theories on covers in general, like not even just the Cure approach of like what your perfect cover is. Then, like I said, I always have that balance. I'm trying to find the one that doesn't totally destroy it, but still keeps respects to the song. Do you have any like formula of any cover you prefer?
Yeah, I mean that's I would say probably the same for me generally.
Yeah,
Um, but then I always think about when I think of like good covers, the thing that always comes to mind is Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah cover,
yeah,
and like it was Leonard Cohen, right?
yeah,
And like the Leonard Cohen song is great, but the Jeff Buckley version, in my opinion anyway, just like it changes it into something different and kind of I
yeah.
don't know more special. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
to me anyway. And I feel like ideally that's what I would want from any cover
Yeah,
is that it kind of elevates it into something that that is totally recognizable as the original song, but becomes its own thing.
yeah,
But that seems like you know
yeah. It's
next
good.
to impossible to actually achieve. So I'll settle for something that has a good balance of like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I know the song.
yeah. On some level, it's the no-brainer, but yeah, that is what you're shooting for with all those. And I guess it's yeah. I always kind of boil it back to the like having a distinct like sound. A lot of that is just whatever your band sound is. If if like
Yeah,
the idea of
yeah.
like Jeff Buckley doing it, that's what it would sound like. It's like, oh yeah, because he has like such a distinct voice, and you know what I mean. And it's
Hmm.
like, so yeah, I think that helps a lot. That's why I tend to like of the Cure covers in particular. I tend to like it more when it's like female vocals because it is like a way to change it
Hmm.
without really change it. You know what I mean? It sounds like
That makes sense. Yeah,
different
yeah.
enough, but it still sounds nice. You could kind of just overly do it the same, but if it has female vocals, it sounds different enough.
It already, yeah.
So
But it's funny. I'm trying to think too. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard The Cure cover anything that I thought was any good at all. Like, I'm trying
yeah,
to.
they're never exceptional. They're just going,
There was that.
they
There was
did.
that Pirate Ships.
Yeah,
That's really good.
which is that's actually one of the better ones because it is different, I guess. But yeah, like the Depeche Mode one was just kind of like,
Yeah, that's such a
that's
letdown, man.
yeah, it's just like sounds like something he could crank out in his home studio, standing on his head, basically. And it's just like, but yeah, and the Jimi
Speaking of,
Hendrix ones and stuff like
oh
that
God,
are
yeah.
kind of,
I mean,
yeah,
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 it's just not good.
but, yeah,
Speaking of him in his home studio, though, I just saw. I guess maybe it's something he did for charity, where
yeah.
he's
Those
like,
3-song things that he did.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like him, like sitting at his desk with no shoes on,
yeah,
playing guitar. Like
totally.
that was awesome. Like,
Yeah,
man,
it's cool just seeing if that's
Robert
where.
Smith's home studio isn't as nice as mine. That makes me feel really
Yeah,
cool.
that's our co-host buddy was all like, "That was a mess, man. He needs to clean that shit up."
Yeah, no,
I was like,
cables everywhere.
yeah, it's like it's kind of cool getting that little glimpse of that new
For
album's
sure.
in there somewhere.
Sure, yeah,
But,
sure it is.
but yeah, those are really cool. Like hearing him just kind of play them over like pre-recorded drum machine parts and stuff are kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
cool. Like I was like, shit, I'd love to see a whole show of that. That'd be awesome.
that would be kind of cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he nailed it. Pretty cool. Do you have a favorite Cure cover that anybody has done, like a specific?
Oh man. Uh, no. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think. I really don't know. Like, I
yeah,
can't honestly even think of any.
yeah. We always kind of say the Dinosaur Junior one by default, but
Oh yeah, that's right.
I
Yeah, I'll
mean,
go with that too.
even
Yeah.
that, it's kind of like just because it's Dinosaur Junior too, I don't
Right,
really
right.
know. But yeah, it's a good one. There was a
Yeah, I
good one. I
really,
wasn't sure
honestly,
if you
man.
had heard. Frankie Rose did. She was in like Vivian Girls, I think it was, and that she did a whole album cover of 17 Seconds that's actually really good. And
Really?
it's just her and her band, I guess. And they did the whole album, which is kind of cool when it is kind of more of a
That is
theme
cool.
thing. And if anything, it gets a little too just like note for note, where they just nail it. Indie band doing
Yeah.
like that sound now, it just sounds a little more modernized. But
Hmm.
but with her, like vocals and stuff, I think it's a pretty cool one that I've
Yeah, I'll
thrown
have to check
on
that out.
pretty regularly. Yeah, it's a good one. But yeah, it's not too many. So that's again why I praise your covers album, and I recommend everybody out there go check it out because yours is right up there with it for sure. And just a really cool batch of
Thank you.
songs that actually really flow together well too. So
Well, thanks.
considering concept and the cureness of getting it to flow through all those eras of the Cure even. And I saw you
Yeah.
posted a Police one too. It's a cover of
Oh yeah, I
Ghost in the
forgot that.
Machine.
That's so that was different. Um, that isn't. I'm on that, but it's not just me.
Ah,
That
okay.
was. Did you ever? I don't know if you're a Beck fan,
A
but
bit. So,
Beck, like kind of early 2000s, did these things he called the Record Club,
oh
where
yeah,
he would like get people from his band and then other people to come in, and like the rules were that like no rehearsal or anything beforehand,
right.
no real like, and they would just spend 24 hours and they'd have to cover a whole record, um, and just figure it out as they went, kind of. And
Right.
like they did, man, some of it's terrible, but some of it's really good.
Right.
They did like Kick by NXS, and they did Leonard Cohen's first record, and a lot of it's great. And so like me and a bunch of friends decided to do the same thing
Okay.
at the studio I was working at the time. And yeah, we all, basically everybody put in their idea of what record we wanted to do. And the one that got the most votes was that Police record.
Nice. Yeah,
So
I haven't
that's
totally
just
dove
us.
in yet. I just listened to every little thing she does is magic. It sounded really cool. That was
Yeah,
the only one I've got to preview. But
it's another one. There's definitely some rough spots, but we didn't. None of us knew how to play any of the songs until we started recording them, and then we would just kind of figure it out as we went.
cool, man. Well, I guess we'll wrap up with that. Like I said, I'll put the links to
Cool.
those on the Facebook page for this, and I guess the actual address for your Bandcamp is
I think that's right.
stvmusic.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody out there, go check it out and give them a shout out and see what you think. So, and I didn't praise your vocals enough too. That you really got a cool
Yeah.
voice, and yeah. So,
Thank you.
sorry if you took offense in the other episode. I think I might have made a death cab passing comment.
No,
I was like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. The more I was listening to
no,
it, I
no.
was like, people, he's a lover him or hate him kind of dude. So I don't know.
I was talking to my friend Scott, and I was telling like, oh, listen to like this guy's playing my stuff on this Cure podcast, and he's a huge Death Cab fan, but like
Okay.
I think I'm like you, and it's funny like you're not the first person to compare my voice to his,
Yeah.
but like what's funny to me is that like I would love that band if they had a different singer.
Yeah.
Like like the drummer is so good,
Yeah.
like I love a lot of the stuff that they do. I just don't like the singer, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, the more I listened to it,
yeah,
I didn't really. I don't think you're too much there,
yeah.
but yeah.
I don't take offense.
Okay.
It's fine.
And thanks so much for taking part in this. Like I said, this is probably the quickest turnaround of like getting an idea on this show. Usually we like come up with something and then we write it down, then we like call the person like 8 months later, and
Right.
so it's pretty cool that this all managed to pan out in time to be maybe even the next episode. So we'll see. But thank you
Right on.
very much, man, and I'd love to have you on just to talk Cure topic sometime if you're up for it with us. We'll get
Sure.
you. We can hash out
Yeah, I
any.
mean,
There's no shortage of topics. Obviously, we're on episode 150, whatever the hell it is. But
that's amazing to me. I've been like scrolling through because I didn't know about your podcast until it
right
was
on.
Eric on Reddit sent me a link like, oh, you should check it out. And so
Yeah.
I've been scrolling through all the past episodes. Like, oh man,
Yeah,
I wonder what they think the best track order for Head on the Door is.
It's a little everything. So
Yeah.
we've had people that have to come back because they're like, "What?" They get offended or turn pissed off, and then I'm like, "No, try one or two more episodes.
Yeah.
They're all different. Some of them we're not even on, so it's great. So, all kinds of stuff on there. So, but yeah, we'd love to have you on and hash it out because
sure,
it's been a blast talking to you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, again, very special thanks to Steve for being willing to come on and hash it all out with us and talk Cure. And, such short notice, too. So really appreciate it, man, and letting us share your tunes, your Cure covers and originals, all of which we'll put links for. Go on over to our Facebook page, and I'll hook you up with the thread there for this episode. And otherwise, look for Disaster Class on iTunes or wherever you stream music, and this Cure's covers album on Bandcamp. All right, on that note, you can follow us on Instagram at The Holy Hour Podcast. You can hear all 154 episodes of The Holy Hour Podcast on YouTube. And also check out some of those video playlists I've made on our YouTube page. I think you might like them. And if you're looking to up your t-shirt game in 2021, then you need to go to 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com. 17 Second Shirts is where you can find awesome Cure design shirts by our very own Chaz, and he'll have something cool waiting for you. So go check that out. You can follow him on Instagram at 17_seconds. And see what's on the horizon. Speaking of horizons, we got some good ones coming up for you. And I think next one's going to be track ones, where we discuss, we might rate them, we might just say their importance. Lead off tracks on the official Cure albums. So join us for that one next time around. Until then, take care out there, be safe. Keep being safe, stay alive, and hang in there. And talk hard.